Check, check. 1, 2. Can you still hear me? Barely?
Barely.
Barely.
Dave, we should just whisper through the whole show.
Yeah, maybe we can. Shh.
Don't fuck with
Well,
me.
hello everybody live from the stream. You know, you got to have Guy Searle and playing with his mic. So
Yeah, if we just whisper through the whole show, then you can just fix it later when you level it
Well,
out.
you say that. Actually, oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
why should I have to do that?
Oh, you know what it might be? Where are my settings in Zoom?
That could be it.
I'm so busy screwing with everything else. I didn't even think about my settings in Zoom.
And Zoom is known to screw with settings.
Yes, it is.
Audio. Well, there, what do you know?
All right.
1, 2.
Hey, look at that.
Nope. Still not fixed.
Is it better? Oh, yes, it is too.
I said it's like the pants. No pants.
Don't screw with me.
Too late.
Haven't I been through enough? 1, 2. It's too loud. 1, 2, 3, 4. Check, check. 1, 2. Come on down a little bit more. 1, 2, 3, 4. You still hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, not you, Dave. Or Jeff. Checking. 1, 2, 3. How's that?
I think you're good.
One, 2. Let's see.
Go ahead. You can continue on as I post on socials here.
I don't even know what the show's about. I'm so confused.
Yep.
I spent so much time trying to get this. I haven't even looked at the show notes.
All right. We got a couple minutes here. Let's do this. 5. That. All right. There.
Go away, kitty.
Yeah. Jelly.
I don't know if it's Jelly or Kismet. One of them's at the door.
All right. And let's tweet.
Not the time. Yeah, Tracy's going out of town tomorrow, so I'll be batching it all weekend.
Nice.
Well, out of town is Fredericksburg to watch our son's cat while they're out of town doing something fun. But it's a wonderful cat.
Mhm. All right.
Isn't it pretty? It's so pretty. Shiny.
You just love that mic.
I love all mics.
Yes. Your resolution did not last very long.
Well, to be honest, it was already on the way, so
I know.
there really wasn't much I could do about it at that point. Are we over on YouTube right now?
We are.
We are. Let me see if I can find it. I want to hear what I sound like.
I did tweet it, and I did. Suppose I should tweet on the Untitled iOS page too.
You probably should. Yeah.
I finally got that set up.
Are we over on YouTube?
We are.
Wow. Excuse me.
I hear you.
Let me see if I can find it. I want to hear what I sound like.
I did tweet it, and I did. Am I hearing your YouTube back?
Yeah, but I'm hearing it outside of my AirPods.
All right. Social media is done. Hello, everybody. Okay. All right. I'm going to start recording in Zoom.
Got it.
And when you guys are ready, I'm going to start audio hijack.
So ready.
Thanks, Guy.
Beyond ready.
All right. We're at episode 185. Recording audio hijack. All right. And I need notes.
Jeff's fault. Him and his pants.
Yeah.
It is all my fault. I accept responsibility.
All right. I'll take it. All right. Here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome to episode 185 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg. My co-host, Warren Sklar, is off this week, but I've got two great guests. Jeff Gammett's back on the show. We love having him. Welcome back, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm doing well, and thanks for inviting me back again. And
Absolutely.
And it is not lost on me that when Warren is out, it takes two people to replace him.
Yeah, that is true. It does. But our second guest returning, Mr. Guy Searle. How you doing, Guy, with his brand new shiny mic?
It's so shiny. It is so shiny. And it's not that it takes two people to replace Warren. It's just, we just can't talk as much as he can.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That must be
Okay.
it.
That makes sense.
Must be it. That must be it. So, anyway, we've got lots of news. Happy birthday to the iPhone, 15 years. We'll be talking about that. Beta just got new releases this week. And it was like within the last day, which will be hot off the presses. We have all kinds of other fun stuff to talk about. AirTag and private relay not working right, all this other stuff. But let's just dive right into the news here. This week's news. First story, there's a report that Apple is considering streaming Major League Baseball, MLB games. Is Apple about to blow up the baseball world? This was according actually to the New York Post. MLB is in talks to let Apple take over streaming rights for several games. This is ESPN has recently given up the rights to its weekday national games. That was synonymous for ESPN and ABC for that matter for like as long as I can remember. But they're talking. Yeah, Apple may be jumping into live sports, which is I think it's interesting and maybe kind of a little exciting too, because the Apple continues to push their services. Guy, you being the sports fan, what do you think?
I think that Major League Baseball is making a mistake unless they allow for streaming all the games and for whoever the person is or the entity is that is going to stream those games to allow them to serve it up to whoever it is that subscribes for however much it's going to cost. It's ridiculous that it's like, well, we're just going to try it and do like just a couple of games, because it's like, yeah, no, you either go in, either go big or go home. You know, don't do this halfway crap.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's but I think Apple's really trying to just jump into this live arena. I mean, this is just going to be a start. Any thoughts, Jeff, on this?
I'm not really into spectator sports.
Right.
But looking at it from a business perspective, Guy nailed it. This is not the kind of thing where you just dabble a little bit to see what happens.
Yeah.
You have to commit, and you have to commit all the way, and you have to ride it out for a while before you decide if this is going to work or not. A couple games just to see what happens, no. That's a fail right out the chute.
Yep. Just like
Yeah.
Texans, you keep a coach for 1 year and fire him. Well, you never know what's going to happen now, will you?
Well, in that case, you do know what's going to happen. You're going to get a new coach every year.
Every year. Welcome to Cleveland.
Yeah. That's right. All right. Well, should be interesting to see where that goes. Apple did release a minor update to iOS 15.2.1. That was released yesterday as we record this. Today, it was a minor release for iPhone and iPad users, and the software comes 1 month after 15.2 was launched with a slew of improvements. According to the release notes, the update was that big, huge bug through HomeKit, and also through an iCloud link not able to load, and it fixes a bug with third-party CarPlay apps not responding to input. Yeah, I was kind of experiencing that in my car.
I would have been happy if it fixed first-party CarPlay apps not working.
That's right. But I know there was a, it doesn't even mention this in the Mac Rumors article here, that there was some pretty serious vulnerabilities with HomeKit, wasn't there, Jeff?
Well, I mean, it's a serious vulnerability, but it's also a vulnerability that's highly unlikely to be exploited.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about creating device names on the HomeKit network that have 500,000 characters or more in them.
Yeah. Okay. That's going to be something not too often, or if it happen at all. And guys, your mic is not working.
Okay, so since I couldn't read Guy's lips, I don't have that skill. I will pretend like he said something that supports what I'm saying and roll with it. And note that Apple did address this problem partially prior to this update, where they set a maximum character limit to device names, and so that addressed most of the problem. But there's still another way to get the long file names in, or device names in, and so that issue is addressed with this update, and that's great.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea. Go out, get them up, get updated. When they have the .1, .2 increments, there's a reason Apple's doing it. Don't hesitate. Do the update. And while Guy works on his mic, we'll move on here. The next story here, the Beats Fit Pro is going to be launching with pre-orders happening on January 24th. Apple Beats Fit Pro fitness-focused wireless earbuds are set to launch internationally later this month, with pre-orders to start Monday, the 24th of January. Excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself here. 2022. The earbuds will be released globally on the 28th of January. And this is a tweet actually from Beats, which of course is owned by Apple. This will be Apple's newest Beats earbuds, featuring flexible wingtips to keep them in the ear, a charging case, silicon tips, active noise cancellation, and spatial audio. So again, the crowded arena.
Sorry, is it working now?
I'm gonna keep going here, guys. A crowded arena, Jeff, of earbuds that are in there right now. And I'm hearing myself back here, Guy. Oh boy, I'm going to mute you. What do you think, Jeff?
I think it's great that you muted Guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so Apple doing this, or excuse me, Beats doing this, great. It gets more features that users wanted into their ears, I suppose, as opposed to their hands. And this is exactly why Apple is keeping the Beats brand as its own brand, even though they're making basically Apple products now.
Yeah, it just seems like there's a lot of earbuds in the marketplace now. I mean, I reviewed a couple of them from the CES event. Jabra and Vulcan, and there's just so many others, and they're all working with the Find My. And so AirPods are not just aren't alone in this arena, and that's good to see. They need some competition, and then even Apple's competing with itself. I mean, with Beats, it beats its own product. So,
well, if you're going to cannibalize your sales, it might as well be with another brand that you own.
Yeah, that you own. So, but let's go ahead and move on here. The next story ahead here in Mac Rumors, the Gmail app for iOS adds a new inbox widget. Google recently updated the Gmail app for iOS devices, and though it's not mentioned in the release notes, the new version of the app includes a second Gmail widget. The new Gmail widget displays the last 3 emails in a Gmail box, along with a button to compose a new email message from widgets. Google's new widget is much more informational because it provides actual email content, and unlike its prior versions. So, Jeff, I think this is I like to see a lot more app developers are doing these types of widgets because I should use widgets more. I know you're a big widget user. I think this is going to be a good thing, especially with there's so many people using Gmail these days.
It's a good thing because at this point, if you want to be perceived as a good player in the Apple space, you need to be providing widgets that offer value. And so that's what Google is doing here. Good for them. And I'll pretend like I'm Guy for a minute. And, it's really great what Jeff just said. I think he's just the smartest guy in the world.
We got to improvise. Guy, you might need to change mics. But yeah, I think it is a good thing, and I'm glad to see and Google is being very they're adopting pretty much lots of things in iOS these days. So, and it's a good thing to see. And then next story here, Uber. This is in Mac Rumors. The Uber Apple Watch app no longer works. Uber appears to have silently ended support for its Apple Watch app last month, which is the end of December in 2021. And multiple Uber users have noticed that they no longer are able to hail a ride from their wrists. And it says it right on the watch. Please switch to the mobile app. We are no longer supporting this app. Curiously, Uber has not removed the app from the store, which makes no sense if it's not working anymore. But the app still is able to be downloaded and installed on the Apple Watch. But what's the point? It doesn't work. I'm surprised that Uber did this. And maybe they don't want to support it anymore. It's not easy. It'd be interesting to see why that's the case.
I would love to know why it's the case that they're doing this.
Yeah.
Because to me, this is a stupid move looking in from the outside. Yeah. Because when you're out and about and you need to get a ride sharing pickup, doing it from your watch is really convenient. And then being able to do all the monitoring and of where your ride is just from your wrist is really nice and really convenient. So I'm bummed to see this happen. And every time a company dumps their Apple Watch app, I assume that an angel kicks a puppy.
That's right. It also mentions here that the Uber's competitor Lyft, they're 1-2 in ride sharing, ride hailing rides here is up. They pulled their Apple Watch app back in 2018 and have not offered integration beyond notifications since. So interesting. Maybe Uber will add maybe notifications if anything, but not being able to actually, do their thing right from the watch, huh?
Oh, I'm having a sad for Guy.
Let's see. I'll let him out. We'll allow him to unmute. Go ahead. You have to unmute.
Okay, there we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
All right. If you were listening to this story about Uber, what's your thoughts?
I think that beyond notifications, who cares? Let them do whatever they want to do. And I have to almost really question how relevant ride sharing programs like this are anymore in the middle of a pandemic. It's people aren't going anywhere anyway, and the margins are so tight on a service like that, and it's so tight on the people that provide the service, that I don't know if either one of these will live to the end of the pandemic, assuming, of course, that we sometime, some way get to the end of the pandemic.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's move on. Go on next story here. This is in Mac Rumors. iOS 15 now installed on 72% of iPhones from the last 4 years. Apple today updated its iOS 15 installation numbers for the first time since iOS 15 was released back in September of 2021, giving us an idea how many devices are running the latest update 4 months after it's launched. So iOS 15 is on 72% of all iPhones introduced in the last 4 years. 26% of the devices continue to use iOS 14, and 2% run earlier versions of iOS. When counting iPhones released more than 4 years ago, 63% of them, wow, it's just are running iOS 15, whereas 30% were running 14, and 7% are running anything earlier than that. Installation numbers were lower on the iPad. iPad was only 57% of all iPads introduced in the last 4 years were on iPad OS 15, while 39% were still running iPad OS 14. So interesting to see these numbers. I think I always like reviewing these each year to see what's going on in iOS, and I always grin because, you know what, Android, you don't have anywhere near these types of numbers, right, Jeff?
Right. And when Apple's adoption rate isn't as fast as it was the year before,
Yeah.
then the anti-Apple people come out and say, "Oh, look, it's, you know, no one's getting it. This isn't as good as it was. You should have Android." But no, that's not the case. And even if the adoption rate isn't as high as it was in previous years, keep in mind Apple changed the way that you get iOS 15 as an update. So it's not as easy to see that you even have the update. So if you're getting a very high adoption rate with an operating system update that isn't as easy for people to find and just like install and not even realize they've done it, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What do you think, Guy?
I think that having a device that is running the latest operating system, 72% of those devices are running it, is like amazing. And if the people that want to crap on Apple can point to any other device that is anywhere close to this, I would be willing to eat this hat. So, and it's not just iOS, iPad OS. You were talking about iPad OS.
Right.
That, who is even still using Android tablets from 4 years ago?
I think I have one in a
That's
drawer.
a really good question.
I think I have it on one in the drawer somewhere. It's probably like Android 5 or something.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
And the people that they're certainly not able to run the latest operating system because the people that made their phone and their carriers don't give a crap about them anymore because they're no longer on their 2-year plan. And if you aren't on a 2-year plan on Android, your carrier and the manufacturer of your phone don't care about you.
And that's the big key. What Apple does with their devices, they control what updates go out, and versus Android, they do not control what goes out because it's up to the carrier to allow Android or Google to release the update. And a lot of times those devices don't get updates and fall far behind. Interesting. I was going to do a topic about this, but I just moved it here into the news here. I found it interesting that Apple and iOS 14 and 15, they were being very saying, okay, it's optional right now. You don't have to update. Now all of a sudden, they're forcing it because it's been a couple months that because if you noticed, when you went to do the update, it was all down at the bottom there saying, oh, by the way, you can update to iOS 15. But normally that was the reason why you get people to adopt quicker, because it says it right in front of your face. It's got the little red number 1 in the settings icon. That means, oh, I got to do this. I can't. Yeah. It's so, So now they're encouraging people to now who are still running iOS 14 to update to iOS 15. It was, like I said, a reverse of that policy that allowed them to choose not to install it. So it continues on. And so to me, that's interesting to see that you still had 72% of the adoption rate on the iPhone, and they still put that in place. So can you imagine we would probably be at about 80 or 90% at this point.
Well, that's kind of the numbers that Apple had for like 11, 12, and 13 within not even, less than 6 months after release,
right,
an 80 to 90% adoption rate for those operating systems. And frankly, I'm kind of the mind, if people don't want to go to 15 for whatever reason, whether it's, they're still on they're rocking a 6+ or a 7, then, then alone, as long as it's not a security issue, and Apple pretty much keeps up with security on the older operating system, just leave them be. Apple, if they don't want to update, don't make them update. You still got them all in the ecosystem. God, look at this box I'm on.
Did you have anything to add, Jeff?
I haven't run all the numbers myself. But I think it's worth noting that this year Apple is breaking out who has done the update based on the years of the device, where previously it was just iPhone users. And I think they're doing that to make the numbers look higher than they are. But that's still not like saying that the iOS adoption rate sucks. It's just they're trying to make the numbers look a little bit better for the optics. But still, I mean, we're talking about really good adoption rates and numbers that you just can't get on Android simply because all the carriers are controlling what operating systems you get.
Right.
And breaking news: 100% of people using iPhone 13s are on iOS 15, according to Apple.
Yep.
Right there. That's amazing.
It is. It really is. All right, let's move on to the topics for this week. That's the news. As I had mentioned earlier, Apple did seed the next version of the beta 15.3 beta 2. And it was sent out to developers, and then, of course, not too far after later that day, this was yesterday as we record this, the public beta came out as well, and there really isn't much words to what hasn't been added. Only in the fact that as we mentioned earlier, the HomeKit bug be squashed with this, as well as the private relay issue that we'll be talking about here in just a minute with the huge story about that. But still quiet in the beta world. I mean, there really isn't much to really say. They're already talking about the digital IDs going into the Wallet app. That's still ongoing. It's going to take, my opinion, years to get all the U.S. states to get on board with this. I mean, so it's going to be a long going here. You only have, I think what they're listing 7 states here. Be the first states to implement the digital ID support. And even Florida is in talks, they say, to support it. So we'll see where that goes. I install it on this X10R that I use as a camera, and I have a iPad first gen, which is I'm sad to hear that I think it's going to go rumored to be this is the end of the line for that first generation iPad Pro 12.9 inch I have. Wow. I think iOS 16 is going to be is not going to be able to be installed. And I don't remember, Guy. You don't install? Do you install it? You install it on your iPad? I think you do too, Jeff. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn it! Come on.
You forgot to do it?
No. The microphone is acting up again. So,
okay.
I do it on the iPad, not on the iPhone, and an older MacBook Pro, like a 2013 MacBook Pro that still will run beta software. Yeah. But other than that, for like my main Macs, I don't do that. I don't do it on my M1 Mac Mini, and I certainly don't do it on the 2018 MacBook Air that I have, because if I need those machines, I need those machines. And
you want them to work
is a quick path to hell if something goes wrong.
Yep. Then they did see the second betas for WatchOS 8.4. I tend to avoid that. Let it be, because the one thing is, if you do install beta software and you want to go back, you've bricked your Apple Watch. So don't do it.
That's Warren's venue.
That's Warren's venue, right? So, and then tvOS 15.3 is out. I ain't gonna get too much to mention there, other than the fact that they never tell you what they're doing with it, but it works. All right. So this big story I wanted to more so be a topic this week is Private Relay. If anybody isn't familiar with Private Relay in cloud, it's a service that gives you the ability to be able to privatize all of your internet surfing with the iCloud Plus service that's included when you buy at least a 50 gig or higher plan with iCloud Plus, that is. It was all of a sudden stopping on cellular connections. Well, notably, T-Mobile was the one that it was the first highlighted headlines and saying, "Oh my God, T-Mobile is blocking Private Relay. How could they?" My friend Brian had said it. That he's been on the show a number of times here. It said to me, "If this is true, I'm switching carriers." I no, I'm not calling him out, but I had this feeling that it wasn't going to be the case. But Apple does say that iOS 15.2 includes no changes that would have had toggled iCloud Private Relay to be turned off. And then another article we have in here in the show notes, this T-Mobile's response to this says they explain why their customers didn't have it. And basically in the statement, it says, the overnight, our team identified that iOS 15.2 released some devices settings default to the feature being toggled off. We have shared this with Apple. This is not specific to T-Mobile. Again, we have not broadly blocked iCloud Private Relay.
So T-Mobile is saying it's not our fault, and Apple's saying it's not our fault.
Right.
User error.
Yeah. So, the fact of the matter is, it was beta. It is something really new. It's not, Apple just brought this in when iOS 15 was introduced. So I like it. I like the fact that you can put your internet activity private right off the bat and not have to do it through, being with a browser or anything like that. It restricts your IP address location. So I think it's a good thing that they are doing this. But like I said, yeah, Apple says no, and T-Mobile says no. Well, go figure.
Isn't where you surf to? Couldn't that also have something to do with it? If some of these websites are saying, you know what, we see that you're using Private Relay, so we're going to block certain IP addresses that we see are using Private Relay.
I don't think that would give the error that people are seeing in settings, though, because this is something that's popping up saying, hey, look, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
But I could totally see websites doing exactly what you said.
But then you come across here, and then this was article 9to5 Mac. iOS 15.3 beta 2 clarifies to users how to fix iCloud Private Relay network errors. It says that following multiple reports of what we just talked about, the company has updated the iCloud Private Relay network error message within iOS 15.3 beta 2. And it basically goes in, you just turn off, you can go in your cellular plan, it has been turned off in your cellular settings. You just go in and you're able to just turn it back on again. So this is quite a dilemma here. And like I said, this has been going back and forth between Apple and specifically T-Mobile, but apparently this is happening on other carriers too. No one else
it's a
mentioned.
thing in Europe.
Yeah. That we were saying, all over the Europe, or like specifically in the UK, or
I think it's just specific carriers in Europe.
Okay.
And off the top of my head, I can't tell you which ones, but I remember reading an article that said the problem started there, and it involved T-Mobile's parent company, and then it started showing up in the U.S.
So here, I'm sorry. This is I just saw this in an article here. So when it was released, iOS 15.3 beta 2, while the original error message only says that the user's cellular plan does not support iCloud Private Relay, the new message asks the user to first check the cellular settings on the iPhone, and then you go into there and actually check the cellular settings to make sure that it's not been turned off. So always a dilemma here between companies and pointing fingers at everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys use the service? I've turned it on my iPhone, and I like it.
I have it turned on my iPhone and my iPads, and I have had no trouble.
I haven't even tried to use it yet, honestly.
The warning that you get that it could cause problems with specific websites, I haven't run into that issue at all. It's as if it's not running. It's that transparent.
Yeah.
Has there been any delay that you've?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. So just be aware of that. Again, notably, it was T-Mobile. I'm a T-Mobile customer, and I know you guys are other carriers, but
No,
are you T-Mobile? Okay.
Yeah.
And I know Jeff, you're Verizon, right?
I'm AT&T.
AT&T. Yep. So, yeah. So, but just be aware of it. Okay, and now let's move on to some fun discussion. iPhone was introduced on January 9th, 2007. Steve Jobs was at the Moscone Center in San Francisco at the Macworld conference back of that day, and I went back and even watched the introduction again, the introduction of it again, and that was just the greatest thing in the world. Jeff, you were lucky enough to be there in person, and I have a picture of you drooling over the iPhone. It's in our show notes. I should share it here on the video too. That Mike Laplante was kind enough to share with us in Facebook. But it was a beautiful day. So we'll go ahead.
It was a really fun day, and the backstory on that photo. Trying to get to that case to look at the iPhone after the keynote was, I mean, it was difficult. And I finally get up to where I can see it, and I'm looking at it, and a photographer from, I want to say it was CNN, but I'm not completely certain. It was one of the big news outlets, asked me to pose, and I'm like, sure. And so I look at the phone, and he's like, no, do this, lean like this. Okay, put your chin at this angle. So that is a very well crafted photo by a professional journalistic photographer, and he got exactly the shot he wanted, and clearly it worked well, because this photo for 15 years still shows up in articles on a regular basis.
Okay, so I can't really truly give Mike full credit for this photo.
You can give Mike credit for
sharing it,
for saving it so that he can share it later.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be sharing this for the rest of my life here. I got to keep it in my files so we could always have fun looking at that photo. Yeah, it was. You still can't get that in out of your head when Steve Jobs is saying it's an iPod, it's a phone, it's an internet communicator. Are you getting it?
You know, when he did that, and we all got it. I mean, seriously, it was like the air temperature dropped 10 degrees in the room. All the air was sucked out. The hairs on your arms stood up completely, just like straight, and the collective gasp was it was loud, and it was a surreal experience when everyone got it, because like the whole room was like all at the same time.
You can kind of hear it on the video too. There's so many derivative versions of it out there on YouTube, but if you watch the full event, it's a lot of fun. Were you covering it?
That was like
go ahead.
That was
Guy,
like Macworld Expo that I went to in San Francisco, and
so you were there too?
I was there at the keynote. Yeah, and I'm actually in a documentary called Mac Heads at about the 6-minute, about 2 to 3 seconds.
He's got it the timestamp right there. We got to go back and watch that.
Well, it's important to remember that timestamp.
My brother Larry was there as well, and they got both of us. They got both of us in that shot. But yeah, it was, and I remember because I was there with Tim Robertson and the rest of the people from mymac.com, and we all kind of left the conference area, and we're trying to make our way to where the phone was, and it was like, oh yeah, there it is. It's that little dot of light that's over there in the corner. We couldn't get anywhere near the damn thing until like the next day, but yeah, it was an amazing event. And because I went to the last 7 Macworld Expos, and I don't think there was a better keynote than that one in the entire 7 years.
I agree.
It was. Apple stopped going in 2009, 2010 is when they ended participation with it. Something like that. Yeah. And there was no topping that. Even when the iPad came out, there just wasn't anything there that you could say, oh, okay, well, that was like the iPhone, but there just wasn't anything like that.
Yeah. I agree. The iPhone reveal was the pinnacle for Apple keynotes at Macworld.
And Jeff, did you own the first iPhone? Because I did not.
I did.
Okay. And Guy, did you?
No, my first one was the 3GS.
Yeah,
mine was the good first model.
Mine was the 3G, and I never stopped since that time. Like, in fact, I have actually the poster behind me here. If I can get that poster right behind me here, that's the evolution of iPhone right there. I just got that about a couple months ago, and shows every iPhone ever made. And I go through this list and like, holy crap, I owned every single one of these. The only phone I didn't own was the 5C, and then none of the smaller phones. I've always had the big one, starting with the 6 Plus. So I got like, holy crap, I owned every one of these. Except the first one. I did not own the first phone because I just didn't. I was still on Sprint at the time, and I wasn't ready to switch, and also wasn't ready to spend $600 on a phone.
Which now is funny, considering that your iPhone 13 Pro was probably $1,100 to $1,300.
Yeah, it was. So, but also, I have a little better salary income that could afford it back then, going back that many years. So, 15 years ago. So,
even if you bought it was like the first 3 iPhones, I think. When you bought those, you paid your full price for them.
Yeah.
And then you paid for it again because AT&T was charging you the subsidized cost.
Right.
And so you paid that for the entire length of owning the phone. So you paid for a phone you already bought.
Yep. Yeah, those subsidies are long gone. But
yeah, we can thank T-Mobile for that.
Yes, we can. And I'm probably happy to be with them. So I want to kind of go over what the iPhone had briefly, what it did not have. Now we think about it, we probably take it for granted today these days, and the fact that it did not have that. Notably, and I'm going order here. I have an article from Mac Rumors about this, but the first thing that really stood out to me was copy and paste.
Oh my God! Yes.
I don't know how the hell you could have functioned, how you could function. I mean, copy paste didn't even come on until 2009. So it was 2 full years. A 3G and a 3GS did not have copy and paste. And that was,
that's why we jailbroke.
Yeah, we jailbroke those phones because we wanted to copy and paste. I mentioned it too, is the other thing with us, those of us who were doing presentations wanted to be able to share our screens, and now it's like nothing. You could do it easily, sharing your screen through AirPlay and other ways. everybody wondered, how does Steve Jobs get that cable to get that hooked up to the iPhone to get it to be able to show on the screen? We want that. And again, the jailbreaking, yeah, you were able to get that to work. And that stands out to me too, that it took a long time till they finally opened it up for it to be the shared wire, over the network and be able to do mirroring. I always remember that. It was like at least 3 or 4 years or 5 years you couldn't do it until they finally they added the mirroring to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't have an app store. All the apps were all core apps. It was just wow. I mean, I guess everybody liked those phones.
That's all you need was web apps.
I remember that Prezzo. All you need are web apps.
Yeah, that's what Steve said.
People
it's like
booing.
Yeah, boo. We want our own apps. So, and then there was no front camera, so you couldn't do selfies. So you had to, turn it around. And what was that? But everybody, I remember everybody cheering. When you hit, oh yeah, it has a 2 megapixel camera. And it also did not do video recording, which didn't make it to the 3GS. I remember that. I was excited when that finally came on to be. It didn't have a flashlight because it never had the light in the rear camera. So that's why. Well, even no apps, you still didn't have a flashlight. So what did you do? When the App Store came along, then there was like bazillions of flashlight apps, including ones that were not so desirable, scummy malware type ones that slept through. Didn't have a GPS until the 3G. The home screen wallpapers you couldn't even touch for a year. But you know what? People like the fact that you could take when you opened up the phone for the first time and being able to slide the bar all the way across, and it was like satisfying, wasn't it? You'd be able to slide that across to get that to open.
Yes. Yeah. There were so many things that Apple did with those early iPhones that now we take for granted or that seem antiquated. But at the time, they were like these revolutionary, really cool new things. And being able to do that slide with your finger across the screen was this cool new thing.
It was. And then AT&T had exclusivity for what, 5 years? It was a long time.
Way too
long, because Verizon got at them in 2011, and then all the other carriers followed suit shortly thereafter that. What a cool. Well, I'm sorry, it was Singular at the time, right? Singular Wireless.
Yeah, well, it was Singular, but by the time the iPhone was officially available, it was AT&T because the whole deal was done.
They changed the name. So, the connector was a 30-pin connector, which was was around for quite a while until it went to the Lightning connector in 2012.
Do you remember how people freaked out?
I had the adapter
to the Lightning connector.
People have those 30-pin to Lightning. I probably have one in a drawer somewhere. That adapter that's adapted it to the Lightning. I got this one 30-pin connector. I don't want to lose it. So they would get the adapters. At least Apple was nice enough to create the adapters. They didn't have to, but they did.
Stoop, come on. The stupid, I don't know if this is Zoom or what, but my mic.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
I was going to say that I think that that the biggest reason why so many people freaked out was all of the accessories that they had, clocks and
we had so many things.
And I honestly never missed the 30-pin connector. There wasn't. I can't recall that I had too much of anything beyond just the standard stuff, cables and whatnot with my my various iPhones up to that moment. I'm still rooting for them to get rid of the Lightning connector and
we've been talking about that
across.
But
we've already done it with iPad, so let's go Apple.
Yeah, it was just tremendous how much the iPhone has evolved in these 15 years, and one of the most popular smartphones in the world. It really is. I mean, there's no. I mean, I guess we're all biased because we're all Apple fans. But I just don't see in any other real difference. And it just we could keep going. All the things that changed, but the current models, the 13 Pro Max, are absolutely phenomenal phones. I mean, the iPhones, the 12 was just as good as well. The last 2 years are just the camera technologies of just. I know. I opened up that photo of you, Jeff, and looking at the Photos app on my Mac. I was like, and then look at some of the photos I've taken with my iPhone 13 Pro Max. It's like, holy crap, how insanely clear it is, and taking pictures of stuff. So, but happy birthday, the iPhone. I think it's going to just continue to be even more exciting, and we'll see how it goes here. So, next story I want to talk about here, and this has really been in the press a lot lately. I just kind of want to get your guys' take on it. The AirTag, the AirTag is a great. That was probably one of the few new products that were released in 2021 by Apple, and I think it was a pretty exciting product. And the fact of the matter is, like a good example for me today is I couldn't find my work keys, and I said I remember where they were, and then I get my Find My out, and let it chirp. I was like, oh yeah, it's in my coat pocket, I forgot. So it really is a great thing here, but it continues to be a problem with unwanted tracking, because what people are doing is they're taking the AirTag, they get it activated on their own device, but then they put it in an unwilling person's whether it be in a woman's purse or any other place, or in cars too. That was the other big stories that people are trying to steal cars and find out where they are, and do that crazy stuff too. So the one big article that stood out here, and this is actually linked into the New York Times here. It was a gal that was talking about the fact that it was in her purse, and someone had put in there to track her, and it's supposed to notify you by Find My if you have an iPhone, to say, hey, there is an AirTag, an unidentified AirTag that's nearby to you. You need to check. But in the case of, I believe it was a Sports Illustrated model that was also as well complaining the fact that it took hours for it to finally realize it, especially as she was walking at night after being at a bar. So you get kind of scared of this article too. Is this very similar type of thing where it finally was doing some automatic beeping and telling her, oh yeah, there's someone that slipped this in my purse. And this has been all over TikTok and Reddit and all over social media and the press. Jeff, what is your take on this? I think it's something that we ought to be a little bit concerned about, but we also have to be happy with the fact that Apple is doing a good job of actually identifying it versus what Tile would ever do, because we've had Tile forever. So,
yeah, I find it interesting, but not surprising, that Apple is really getting hammered over privacy and security with the AirTag,
right?
Because it's Apple. Tile was in the space for years before AirTag ever came along, and Tile has never done anything to promote or create any sort of system for safety and privacy at all. And even with the AirTag coming out, they still have done nothing. So while people are saying, oh my God, there was an AirTag that someone dropped in her bag, this is horrible, and Apple needs to do something. Okay, yes, it's horrible and it's crappy, and no one should ever do stuff like this, ever. It's just wrong. But she got a notification. If that had been a Tile tracker, she would not ever. And while people are saying, yeah, but not as many people are using Tile as are using AirTags, I don't think that's right. I think there's still a lot more Tile trackers out in the wild than AirTags. But the way the AirTag connects to the different iPhones gives AirTags a leg up in trackability. That, however, isn't as big a leg up as it used to be, because Tile made that deal with Amazon for Sidewalk. So now anywhere that there's an Echo, that's like at least I think it goes back like 5 or 6 years for the devices that support Sidewalk, then that's giving you that same mesh cover that you would get with iPhones.
Yep. Hey, what do you think, Guy? Is this something that Apple is doing a good job with protecting their privacy, and just this is being overblown in the press and social media?
I think it's being overblown. I think that there's really not much more that Apple could do in regards to having a device that not only you can use to put on something, but to have a way to be able to have it connect up to anonymously through different networks so that it can get back to you and say, well, this is the approximate location for this device. And the fact that they're including any kind of security at all. Yeah, and if they had not included it and this all started happening, then yeah, okay, I could see where people could become very, very upset about it. But Apple did their homework. They took the time and they took the trouble to create a way to protect the people that not only use these kinds of devices, but would have these kinds of devices used against them. And there's really nobody else that's doing the same. Like Jeff said, Tile has never bothered. And we actually don't know how many vehicles have been stolen because someone put a Tile tracker on it or some other kind of GPS tracker on it. There's no way to know because it's not sensational enough for anyone to report on.
Yeah.
And that's
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that AirTag is actually the worst choice you can make if you want to put a clandestine tracker on someone, because this is the one that at some point is going to alert you that you're being tracked.
Yeah, I mean, the gal that was mentioned in the New York Times article, they actually put an AirTag behind her license plate. I mean, so it's lodged back there. Yeah, granted, it fits in there. I mean, a Tile could fit in there too. I mean, what's to stop that from tracking somebody?
Yeah, you can get a thinner Tile than the AirTag. So you can fit Tile in places that you can't put an AirTag.
Yeah, but closing on this, kudos to Apple. I think they put some protections in place, albeit I can't say it's 100% perfect. The example I just gave about it took a few hours, but the fact that they do protect us and protect from anybody doing it, kudos to them. Kudos to them. Next topic I want to talk about a little bit here is Apple actually released a press release or in their newsroom highlighting services, and as they say in the article, as they say in the press release, it enriches people's lives through the year. So 2021, there was a lot of strives towards what services have really done this year. And the growth of it is just exponential. I mean, it's insanity where Apple really has been with all the services that they have, including the App Store, Apple Music, Apple Maps, Apple Pay, Apple News, Apple Podcasts, Apple Fitness Plus, Apple TV Plus, and Apple Arcade. It just goes on and on. They were smart when they came out with their bundles. I mean, I'm a happy bundle subscriber, and I share it with my family, and they get the benefits of being able to access all this stuff that they have. They have the Apple One Premier bundle, $30. You can't beat it, and you just share that. And the fact that a year ago they've stood over $200 billion a year ago in services. That's just phenomenal. Don't you think, Jeff? It's just wow. I mean, where the worst services have come. Thinking back in the old days of Mobile Me and a lot of other horrible services that Apple had in the past, they've really come a long way.
They have, and if anyone is questioning if whether or not Apple is a services company, they are. I mean, they're also a hardware company, but they are clearly a services company as well.
Let me ask you both something. If Apple tomorrow came out with a podcast service where they would host podcasts as well. Would you consider dropping your current provider and moving all of that to Apple?
I would have to see exactly what's involved, because like if it was done like Anchor, no. Wouldn't consider it at
God,
all. No, stay away from Anchor. If it was done the way Spotify is, no, because Spotify, I mean, their system is not as friendly as it should be to podcasters.
Okay, well, I mean, something,
but I would consider it.
Podbean
I would
or
do.
some of the other services that you can actually host podcasts.
Yeah, Podbean, Blueberry,
Libsyn. That's all I use.
Libsyn,
Yeah.
Castus. Yeah.
What if they came out with like a live streaming service, similar to StreamYard or Riverbend or some of these other ones that are?
I'd consider it.
I consider it, but I just don't see Apple diving into that type of market. I just don't see it. I could see. I mean, they have subscriptions already for those who want to add the subscription model for Apple Podcasts now. But if it's a type of service as you're describing, like we just mentioned, of all these services, and for those of you who aren't podcasters, you don't know what the heck we're talking about here. Those are the services that we use to bring you our shows each week.
Audio files and video files and
audio files and so you have to have a service in order to do that. So, and Apple's big enough that they could conceivably do it. But you're starting to see everybody else get involved in it. I mean, Facebook's doing it now, where you can have your podcast be highlighted and get to hear full episodes, through their services. So it's all fed through the RSS feeds, and
they're not actually hosting the files.
No, they're pulling it from RSS feeds.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. I would love to see Apple get into that space. I would love to see Apple go into podcasting in a big way, much bigger than they have currently. And it's crazy that I think that they haven't, since they were the ones that really started the whole thing with the iPod.
I agree with you on that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, so Guy, your idea about Apple getting deep into all of it, I can see that happening. I think if they do this, it will be slower than to us would make sense. But Apple does move slowly in places like this. And what I could see happening is that they start offering these as premium services that go along with people that are using the Apple Podcast subscription feature, and then grow it out from there.
I could see it almost becoming like a competitor to YouTube, and have it be aggregated as well through the Apple TV hardware and software, or just through through the application.
That would be really cool.
Extra content.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So they're going to continue to evolve this. I think they're going to add more services, as you know, they did acquiring the classical musical service Prime Phonics. So you're going to see all these classical music lovers are going to now have there's another service that's going to be in addition. If they don't put it as part of Apple Music, it'll probably be joined with it. More 3D maps are going to be evolving with the maps. The maps will continue to evolve, albeit the maps still has, I think, some work to do. There's times where I go and use it, and it's like, why would you go that way? And there's a few people I've seen posted on Facebook, notably somebody in the Mac to the Future group that posted this and did a markup that says, "This is the arrow. This is where I should have went." And Apple.
Where it did this whole thing around.
Yeah, it was doing a big circle around wherever he was located. So, but I would not be at all surprised.
Hypothesis on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
As long as we're here, looking at the other symbols that were on the map, I think what it was doing was avoiding the stoplight. But because it's not smart enough to figure out that stopping for this stoplight on a short block is still going to be faster than going down a block, up a block, and then back over a block.
Although it did work out for me well when I was on a tollway in the Chicago area and driving, and traffic started backing up onto the towards where I knew I was going to get off at, and it says, "Well, get exit right here," and I was real close to the exit, and I'm like, "Okay, why are you taking me this way?" And then I'm driving around. I was like, "Oh my God, you're putting me out in the boonies here. I'm by a UPS depot and pull all around here." And then I said, "Oh, that's what you're doing. I'm taking the long way around to get back to that road that I was supposed to get to because all the traffic was backed up on the tollway." So that one did work. So that was one of the examples with maps. But like Google Maps isn't perfect. Waze, people say, "Oh, you should use Waze. You should use Waze." And
Waze is good. I like Waze. However, Apple Maps as a companion, for lack of a better term, has pretty much caught up. I find that Maps traffic avoidance system is easily as good as Waze's is.
Mhm.
I find that their notification system for incidents on the road, whether it's police or accidents or construction, it's a much simplified interface, because with Waze you've got to hit this one button, and then you've got to hit this other button, and then you got to hit another button, and then you got to hit report. Whereas with Maps, it's like, okay, police, accident, construction, and that's it. It's just there to say there's something ahead that the people behind you need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
It's okay. It doesn't have the granularity that Waze does, but when you're driving at 55 to 70 miles an hour down the road trying to record a podcast, you don't need to know all those things.
Right.
Hey, guys, Daily Grab. All I have in my head about Waze is the fact that it has Cookie Monster as a voice. So
I rage deleted Waze years ago.
Yeah, I don't use Waze anymore.
I had so much trouble with it, and when I got rid of it, I was actually partway through a route, and it routed me off the highway, took me all around downtown Denver. Crazy route, and I'm like, I'm trusting this because I can see the traffic up ahead.
Meanwhile, you end up in the ocean.
Yeah, which is really hard to do here. But what it ultimately ended up doing was taking me back and putting me on the highway where I got off.
It's like a circle.
And at that point, I was like, you know what? I've had way too many problems with Waze.
Yeah.
And I was swearing like a sailor, and since I was just stuck in traffic and couldn't move, and it was safe to pick up my phone, I just deleted the app off my phone mid-route, and I was like, you know what, I'm done.
You parted.
That's okay. He parted ways.
I parted ways. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
And then burned that bridge and never looked back.
And on that note, let's go ahead and wrap things up for this week. That was a great discussion. Thanks, you guys. And let's go ahead and wrap up for this week. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. We have another way you could support the show. If you want, you can buy us a coffee. Buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/intouchwithios. Make sure you, like I does, like, share, subscribe, so you're notified when a live stream is happening, or on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/DaveG65, where you can also find and watch and listen to all the past shows. Visit In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard. I'm getting some traction on there. People are enjoying that, where you can find many of the topics we'll talk about. I will have all the links that we talked about this week in Flipboard as well, which we discussed. You can flip through it. You also can subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts and many others. But go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. And Jeff Gamet, thanks again for being here. Always enjoy having you. Where can everybody find you?
Dave, thanks for having me back again. It's so much fun to get to hang out with you, and a bonus treat because Guy's here as well. Yeah, and Guy, when your mic wasn't working, I was more than happy to put the words in your mouth for you.
Yeah.
You know, I've got your back.
Doing that for almost 30 years. So
yeah.
Yeah, so it comes naturally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm Jay Gammett on both. YouTube.com/Jay Gammett for my videos, and Tuesdays on Mac Voices Live, Thursday late morning on The Big Show, Friday earlier in the morning on The Mac Show, and sometimes here. Apple Context Machine this week.
Yes.
I did that with Brian
Partner.
Chaffin. Yeah. I get around.
Yeah, you do. And I'll be on the Mac Show with you tomorrow.
Yes.
And Guy Cyril, thanks always for being here. Always a blast. Where can everybody find you when your mic is working?
Yeah. You can reach me on words are hard. I am one of the hosts of the mymac.com podcast along with Gazmaz. You can reach me via email, guy@mymac.com or podcast@vertshark.com. I am Mac Parrot and VertShark over on the Twitters. VertShark.com is the website. VertShark on YouTube. Skype number is +1 area code 703-436-9501. Call that number 703-436-9501 just because it costs me money.
He's waiting for your call.
Operators are standing by.
Yes. And I want to thank everybody that's out there listening as he's just mouthing his mic there. We really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the show. We had a lot of fun doing it, and we'll talk again soon. Okay, guys. I think that Mike needs to be put into retirement, buddy.
I don't know what the problem is here.
It just every time you talk,
I know what the problem is. It doesn't
piece of crap.
work.
It's a piece of crap. You better return it.
I don't know. And the weird thing is, like I was telling you that because of where the XLR connector is, it's kind of off center where the cable goes in. So I have some 90-degree cables coming in to try to fix that, but it's like,
Of course you do.
How do you not have those already?
Yeah. Why don't you already have 90-degree cables?
I had a microphone. This was the very first microphone I've had that's needed, and I don't even have it on my preferred mic stand. I have a secondary mic stand. My primary mic stand is one that instead of looping in like this, it kind of feeds up from the bottom. And I showed you a picture of it, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Dave.
We saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a great mic stand, but I couldn't use it with this microphone because of where the XLR cable is.
Just stay with Rode. That's what Breff and I do. We're happy.
I think that's the main problem. It's just not making a good connection because of how this cable is just.
Don't you have any gaffer tape handy?
Yeah, Gaffer took it home.
Yeah. I'm good.